Hello, everybody, and welcome to another discussion all about real estate, buying homes, whether you're buying a home for yourself or you're buying an investment property. You are in the right place. My name is Cheree of SimpliFunded, and hopefully, I am your favorite lender. I am here with Michele. Michele is, amongst many things, a renovation realtor, right? Renovation expertise. And so many of us are looking at homes that we want to purchase that either may need full renovation or maybe things are dated in the house. The bathroom looks like Pepto Bismol. The carpet needs renovating. The kitchen appliances are just falling apart, the roof, things like that. That is the topic of today. Don't forget to like the video as you are coming in. And Michele, welcome to our world
Thank,
here.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. It's been fun getting to know you.
Yes, absolutely. Same here. So, tell me a little bit about yourself and everybody who's listening. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you actually got into real estate.
Yeah. So this is a second career for me. I spent a good
Hmm.
25 plus years working for startup technology companies, mostly software companies in the data center, monitoring
Hmm.
management, security world. And I once used to write code, but I gave that up very quickly and moved more into a consultative role, business analyst, if you will. So I ran product lines, um, product marketing. So always content strategy, you know, where are the products and market going, and, consultatively working with, clients, because monitoring data center is the same, whether you're healthcare, federal government, insurance. However, they all speak a different language. Some are
Hmm.
for profit, some are not, and, that sort of thing. So, um, trying to speak the language of the things that are important to each of those clients. So then, fast forward, I traveled quite a bit. And in 2016, I think that was my last airplane, I decided an airplane did not need to be part of my commute any longer. And I started looking into, and I also, I would work for a startup. We'd get acquired by somebody big, and then I'd wash, rinse, repeat, start over again. I liked the thrill of starting something new, a small company.
Hmm.
So I started looking into what can I do for myself? Why not build a business of my own and do something fun? I
Hmm.
grew up in the Northern Virginia area, so I've always been from here, although there have been times where I lived in other places and traveled the world. But this was always home. So I know the area, but it's huge. And, those days when I think I know all the areas really well, then I get out there and I'm like, well, it's been a while since I've been over here.
Hmm.
So, I kind of travel up and down I call it the Route 7 corridor between Ashburn and Falls Church for the most part, and kind of west towards Fairfax, Chantilly. But I grew up in Woodbridge, so I did make it down to Prince William County. And so I decided to go into real estate. So I took the class, and I had the, uh, you know, best opportunity in the world to be in an office with Rob Chavez and the Grid Investment Group. So I like to learn, and I
Hmm.
was a sponge those first few years, picking up on the investment side of the business. And so I've been doing real estate now for 5 years. I'm starting the sixth year. And about halfway through, I started picking up more investor clients. And
Hmm.
then Rob put together an agent investor program. So that kind of leads you into looking at the ugly houses and estimating renovations and helping sellers prepare their homes um, for sale. And,
Hmm.
20 grand can go a long way. It's usually a lot of paint, carpet, just cosmetic stuff. But
Cosmetic. Yeah.
I mean, even like me, I'm the baby boomer who's not given up, but I guess I'm borderline baby boomer, Gen X, staying in place. But I got a lot of things that need to be done in my own home.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I've seen the fix now, pay later
Hmm.
options that some sellers can take advantage of. There are companies that will do that, and construction groups. Um, they do have their general contractor fees and whatnot. But a lot of times it's just small stuff. And so I've worked through over the last couple of years what I would call small, medium, and large projects. Small
Mm-hmm.
being, we're just going to paint carpet, maybe do some flooring, clean the house. Medium, we're starting to replace vanities in the bathrooms. Again, just the jewelry of the house, lights, mirrors, doorknobs, stuff like that. And then last summer, did a flip of a house that had an absentee owner. And that might be scary. He hadn't been there for 15 years. And, turning on power and water for the first time, that was like the scary moment. And that was like the non event. And then, it's just normal home maintenance stuff. HVAC hasn't been turned on. It was working, but now it shows an age of 30 years. And, so we just had to replace things. And so then Cheree and I met as part of this grid investor group one
Mm-hmm.
night with Rob. He was running a meeting and we sort of hit it off and we were talking about the renovations. And we know that there's low inventory. And I mean, when we say it's low, it's
Very
starving.
well. Mm-hmm.
If, when I did the market metrics in January, it might look like we had a spike in new listings, but then there was also a spike in new pendings. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that's coming is going. Last weekend, I looked at a house that I would tell you, if I look at the science of pricing, was 50 grand over what it should. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a big question mark on whether or not that can appraise. So I've been
But
watching it.
yet somebody put it under contract for 50K over.
Yeah. So right now, I know it's
Interesting.
under contract, but it does have a contingency that goes till the end of the month. So that
Mm-hmm.
tells me it's probably a financing contingency. And unless they put down a big hunk of cash to cover a potential appraisal miss, then it's probably going to go back on the market. So I called
Mm-hmm.
that crazy showed up.
Right.
My client wasn't willing to be crazy and go that high just to begin with, but apparently crazy is still in the market and is willing to pay a big premium. So how do we help create more inventory? And that's where
Mm-hmm.
Cheree and I got to talking. And I know it's scary for the millennial, Gen Z, the first time home buyers, primarily when they walk into a house and they're already cash strapped to make the mortgage, the down payment, and they don't want to look at the what we would call the ugly house. But now having gone through multiple renovations and having kind of a network that helps me with it, they're not so scary to me. And
Mm-hmm.
when I walk in and I see it needs carpet, it stinks. It needs new carpet and paint. Um, I already know what that's going to cost, and it's not as much as what folks think. I built my business mostly on open houses, so I saw a lot of folks come in, and as soon as somebody starts pulling out that notepad of, okay, what do I got to replace, then it turns into $100,000 project. Well, the only $100,000 project I had was the one where I had to replace HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
Everything.
The
Yes.
rest, yeah, the rest are really small. So when talking to Cheree, we were talking about how can we take the fix now, pay later, which means fix a house to prepare it for market and pay for it out of closing costs with the contractor. Can we flip that so that we can open up more inventory to the first time home buyers by giving them an option? If we can get it at a good price, then knowing that it can appraise and working with a lender like Cheree, can we get some funding to pay for those smaller projects and work it into the mortgage? So I'll let Cheree
Absolutely.
is the expert on how can we make that happen.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say hey to Torian Dreams, an NC worker. And Torian gave us a little super chat. Thank you so much. Saying thank you to Michele for coming. Pro Don't Diver is in the house as well, saying love it. And She'd Be Here is here as well. So hello to everybody. Yeah. So from a funding point of view, first thing I want to say is this. This is not just for investors. You can decide that you want to live in the house, and you're able to get it as your this money as your primary residence. Um, I think you can do it as a second home. You can definitely do it as an investor because I just closed on this type of loan for an investor. So definitely primary residence, definitely investor. Therefore, I'm sure second homes you can do this as well. The second reason I love this specific program, which is a government program, is there's a Fannie Mae program and a Freddie Mac program, and all you have to know is that these are conventional loans, right? Nothing fancy. Um, the second reason I love this is because traditionally, what people would do is they would get a what's called a hard money loan, where it's super short term. You may have 6 to 12 months to make your renovations, and then you have to refinance the property. And the issue is you have two sets of closing costs and a lot of anxiety and all of that. With this specific loan, it's called the home style renovation loan, but for short, we'll just call it the renovation loan. With this loan, you can close one time. The lender will have your purchase price and your construction cost. They will put all of that together. And as long as both of those numbers added together is lower than the after renovation value, then from an appraisal point of view, you're perfectly fine. So the appraiser, usually when appraisers look at properties, they're only looking at what the property is, the value of the property today. This is a special type of appraisal where they actually look at once this is renovated, right? Because appraisals, the way that they work is they look at the condition of the house. And the
Right.
better the condition of the house, the higher the appraisal will be. So they assume that they will take your construction budget that you get from a licensed contractor. They will go in the house and they will look at what the house is going to be based on that construction budget. And they will say, okay, if all of the things that are on this construction budget are done, the after renovation value of this property, the appraised value of this newly renovated property is going to be X, or going to be Y, I should say. And that's how you're able to get these loans. The other thing is that the lender pays your contractor directly. The lender pays your contractor directly. That means actually you cannot pay for anything in the house. You actually have, by the rules of this loan, you have to have all of the construction that you're going to do. Everything needs to be on that construction budget. But you can include a roof, you can include kitchen appliances, carpet, flooring, new bathroom. We have actually a client, our client is adding bedrooms and a bathroom to their house. So they're turning it from, I think, a 3-2 to a 6-4 or something like that. They've got like this huge thing going on. And they have a higher construction budget than
Right.
100,000. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Um, but there are all sorts of renovations that you're able to do with this specific type of renovation loan. So you may say, Cheree, this sounds so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I always like to give you the cons as well, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
only con there is that you do have to hire a HUD consultant. HUD is Housing, Urban, and Development. You do have to hire a special HUD consultant. They call it a 203K consultant to come and check the construction budget that you have in order to make sure that um, all of the renovations that your contractor is proposing are things that need to be done in the house, that they haven't missed anything that needs to be done in the house. and that the budget looks reasonable, right? So there is
Right.
another step in there outside of the appraisal that needs to be done. The other thing I will tell you is that these loans typically take 45 to 60 days to close. Now, working with me, we can get it done in 45 days because now I kind of have my rhythm and my system and things like that. But, whereas the usual house may take 30 days or 21 days to close, you're going to
Right.
need a little bit more time with this one. But I'm a super fan of the renovation loan. And the final thing is that those renovations, when Michele said fix now, pay later, those renovations are included in your mortgage. So you may have another $200 a month going to your mortgage to pay for all of those renovations, and you get the house you want. You get the kitchen you want, you get the bathrooms you want, you get an additional bedroom if you'd like, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like really, like I feel it's a really great way for you to take a fixer upper and
Yeah.
turn it into the house of your dreams or a great rental property.
Yeah.
And I just want to say hello to Jessica as well. Hello.
Hi, Jess.
Go ahead,
Um,
Michele.
yeah, so I had two great examples in my own neighborhood within the last year. Um, I worked with a client or two clients that would be comps to what I call giveaways. There were a couple
Mhm,
of homeowners, they just did not want to fix the house before they left. So they've got to find a buyer who's willing to put that sweat equity into it. A
mhm,
lot of folks don't want to do the project themselves, which is
mhm,
okay. So that's, why I've teamed up with Cheree is can we, get funding to use a contractor to do the work so that it can be done for you ahead of time. So I have two hard examples, equity wise, where one neighbor gave away a home. It was a smaller footprint, probably the smallest footprint within the community, at about 430 or 420, and to juxtapose it against one that had been painted, some appliances, light bathroom work done, we sold at 470.
mhm,
So that's a pretty healthy budget, and that was about what we spent. We spent about 27 grand to do some painting, clean up, replace some appliances, all the vanities, lights, mirrors, that kind of thing, cleaning, flooring in a basement. So it covered, a fair amount of, truly just cosmetic stuff to make it more appealing. It's not what I would call high end remodels, but it gives you an opportunity to look at the house that has been sitting on the market for a while. So they do have to be priced right. The second one was more of a 500K house, and even though they sold it at 510, uh, because they sold it off market, they didn't take it to market and they didn't fix it up. Uh, the I tell the I met the homeowner. I said, "You guys really, you really struck gold on this one since you were willing to do some work yourself, because they got a roof out of it from the seller. So you're looking at about
Oh,
10 grand,
that's a pretty penny there. Yes.
hot water heater, and I don't know what else they ended up asking for to be done in
Mhm,
order to close on it. So that house, technically, with the concessions that were given, was sold well under 500, and one that had been fixed up, and we
mhm,
some infrastructure items had to be replaced. So that was a little bigger budget, but sold
mhm,
for 585 and appraised at 590. So it really takes kind of both sides of the house with Cheree on the
yeah,
funding, and then making sure, from the real estate side, we look at it. We're not looking at, you know, trying to take new home buyers into, total dumps, but get past looking, smelling the cat pee, and, let's just take out the carpets and whatnot. And, a lot of that goes away and you freshen it up, and it's not all that expensive. I will say, when Cheree and I first started talking about this, and, I was a little bit nervous about the uh, licensed contractors, because a lot of times you might have a flooring company that could come in. I'm not certain how they're exactly licensed, but along the way in doing some of these kind of flips more from the seller side versus the buy side is I've got a contractor who, does this kind of remodel reno work. So all of that flooring and, things like that would filter through their license and everything would be covered.
Yeah,
Uh,
it just needs to be a licensed general contractor. So
yeah.
they can subcontract to, flooring people or plumbers, electricians, etc.
And even handyman. I have a
Mhm.
handyman. He has a license. So, you don't have to go to a high end builder as
Yeah,
my message when we say licensed contractor. That sounds scary and expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Depending upon the size of the project, um, there are handymen out there that have a contractor's license.
right.
So,
So here's another thing, Michelle, that we should get our individuals thinking about, because most of the individuals that come across me, they're not only interested in owning their own home, but want to own a real estate portfolio. So what
right.
you are able to do is purchase a home that is a fixer-upper, fix it up, and usually within a year, you can move to the next house and the next house. So you could potentially use this program, let's say, let's be super generous, over a 10-year program, and sorry, 10 years, and have 10 houses, that where you're able to purchase, renovate it while you're living in the house, and then move to the next house, move to the next house. So
And
again,
you're
this
right.
conventional loan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Go
you're right. And then that's the best interest that you can get is considering it your primary home
Yeah,
and living it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Best interest, lowest down payment, and you can, within 10 years, you can have a portfolio of these houses. And you may end up having, let's say, out of the 10, 2 or 3 of them that you purchased for a really, really good price,
Right.
and your cash flow, you can cash flow them all potentially, but there are a couple where you could really, make some good money and some good cash flow. So I know that there are certain people who want to make cash flow. Rob always talks about the income flip, and
Right.
turning our active income into passive income, and this can be one of the ways to do that.
Absolutely. One of, and this is kind of Rob's trainings, when I go into one of these homes with the seller, I always give them three options.
Hmm.
There's an investor who's going to pick it up, but they're going to pick it up for the lowest. It's got to be about 70 cents on the dollar plus the
Hmm.
repairs. And, most of these homes are not that distressed.
Right,
To
right.
the new buyer, it's scary because it looks distressed to them. But, having somebody that guides you through, not that big a deal. We've done this. We've got contractors. We know who to go to.
Hmm.
So giving them options. And so the second option is always, okay, you can do a little spruce up and try to attract somebody who will do the sweat equity. But I
Hmm.
call those folks the unicorns. They're hard to find, the people who will do that. So that's when Cheree and I really got to talk, and it's like, okay, we've got to put the program together
Hmm.
so that they can, achieve this without having to do it themselves and try to live in a, construction war zone while it's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be, yeah, the so it doesn't have to be I'm dating myself, but in the
I'm trying not
1980s,
to date myself too.
yeah, in the 1980s, there was a movie called Money Pit with Tom Hanks, and I think Shelley Long was the other
Yeah.
person. And no, you don't have to live like that. You can work with the contractor with regards to what's being fixed when and things like that. Um, but the other thing that I will say as well is that there are people who are using this program, and part of what they're doing is setting up walls and doors and things like that to
Oh yeah.
make a second unit within the property. Of course, make sure it's zoned properly, make sure you have all of your permits and things like this. But now you've turned a single home into, a place where you could have a renter,
Yeah.
and they could basically help you pay the mortgage, and then when you depart from that property, You not only have one family paying you, but you could have two,
Oh,
or two
absolutely.
individuals. Exactly. So people are getting pretty creative. And that's my whole job. My whole goal is to work with individuals and be creative with you with regard to this process and what can be done, and just expand your mind with regards to
Yeah,
that.
because if you think about it, this area especially, um, you get close to the city. The suburban sprawl started from DC, so you start looking at McLean, Vienna, Falls Church.
Hmm.
They're closer to the city, but those homes
Arlington.
are the
Hmm.
oldest, and they tend to be on the largest lots.
Hmm.
And they tend to be the ones that need like the additions that you're talking about. And you can very easily take a basement, give it its own entry, turn it into a little
Hmm.
apartment or whatnot. But we've got a big generation here of homes that are fairly old that are going to be either need to be torn down, or they've been kept up enough that they can be
Hmm.
updated and modernized for today and take advantage of additional income streams depending upon the size of the house,
Absolutely.
or multi-generational houses. I've seen college kids coming back, but they need their own space, or
Hmm.
parents moving back in with the kids. Everybody's got to have their own space. You're right.
Yes, yes, but still, living amongst other people, because we still need affordable housing as well, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So I do want to
Well,
say hello to Dr. Virginia as well, who's listening from the Georgia Peach,
Atlanta.
Atlanta. We got Brian's tax. I know you are working on your taxes for your, she has truck driver clients, so she's got a
Wow.
very great business. So, and Centria is here as well, saying good evening. So I just wanted to say hello to you ladies. Any final thoughts with regards to what we've discussed this evening, for people, just kind of take with them?
Yeah, I would just, keep the conversation going if folks are out there listening to it. Post the a question and be happy to answer. I'm sure Cheree would be happy to answer
Hmm.
as well. But we're both just trying to think of creative options because there are houses sitting out there. It's just the ones that are sitting need some work. So we're
Yeah.
trying to be a little bit creative and giving options to folks. But I'll be watching the comment stream and answering questions. I do a market report. I'm about to do the just past quarter that I share with folks. It's pretty extensive. And because I came out of that kind of product marketing content world, I
Hmm.
love to share content on the blogs and whatnot. And Cheree is getting me back into the video.
Yeah,
I'll have to do more
yeah.
videos lately.
You and look, there are people who do it better than me. This is like the extent of what I do.
But you're good at doing
So
it consistently. So,
I try, yes. But yeah, Brian's tax is saying, "Ooh, yes, I am working now. I know you are." Like I told you that my mother's a bookkeeper, so tax season, it's like, I'll see you in April.
I know.
See you in April.
I'm dreading my day. I got to get prepared
Yes.
for my meeting.
Yeah, me too. Um, so I don't see any questions here, but why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want your market report, if they want to talk more, ask you questions? What's the best way?
So you've got the handle there, Real Estate of MVA. So at Real Estate of MVA on all platforms. Michele with one L. So email address is easy, Michele with one L at realestateofmva.com. Got a website, Facebook page, and LinkedIn page. So I've got content coming through those two channels as well as Instagram. But the more in-depth written content goes mostly through Facebook and LinkedIn pages for the business. But if you do a search on that handle, you'll find it.
Fantastic. And everyone knows how to get in touch with me, simplifunded.com. I will talk with you about any kind of loan scenarios that you have. Actually helped a woman earlier today where she wanted to buy a triplex. And when we crunched the numbers, we determined it was not going to be a good buy for her. I'm working with another woman who's considering buying a nursing home. And, we're going through the real estate and the other numbers because they gave her the profit and loss statement and trying to figure out if that's going to be good for her as well. So I do have a background in finance and I can kind of work with you with regards to your real estate portfolio. So make that offer to everybody who's listening here tonight. Thank you, Michele, for being
Oh,
here
thank
with
you.
us. Yes, yes, everybody. And I'll be back for my 5-minute loan check-ins for the rest of the week. But in the meantime, thank you, everybody, for being here, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.